7 o'clock. City of University Heights call to order the city council meeting. Today is November 12th, 2024. And welcome everyone. Nice to see everyone here today. All 5 council are present. And first order of business is approval of minutes, October 8th, 2024. Is there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. And next we have public input. Would anyone from the public like to speak to the council and myself today? Okay, we'll move on because I know some of you want to speak. Oh, Pat does. Pat Yeagy.
I'd love to.
Thank you, Pat.
I was the chair for the general election in University Heights last week. And except for the broken door, this community center is a really nice place to have an election. It's easy to set up. Mike usually has it close enough that we don't have to rearrange it very much. We just move the tabulator down there at the corner. There's already tables here. We put the computers and the printers there. And the voters come in, they register, they get their ballot. There's booths down there, tabletops, they vote their ballot and they put it in the machine. And it's just the way it should be, that's the way you should run a center. So we had 323 voters that day, and 30 of those registered to vote on election day. It was a busy day and the ballot was also very long. Our only complaint really is about your chairs, which we call 1 hour chair. Because after an hour, you just gotta
heard
get
that.
up and walk around. And we process voters for 13 hours. We're forced to bring our own chair cushions. So on to ordinance 255. I applaud your decision on defining game day parking. I think it is a great idea that you want to consider regulations for other events on an ad hoc basis. I am, however, against allowing motorhome or camper or junk car parking in front yards, especially when they're covered with a tarp. I don't know much about the specific rules about this that nearby cities might have, but I think it's restricted and regulated. And I think this is something you should know before deciding one way or the other. And finally, I went to California 2 weeks ago to visit my sister. She lives in Palm Springs, where there are always many exciting cars to look at, and also lots of new cars. It seems to me that 90% of the new cars out there are gray. My brother-in-law was in the tire business, and he pays attention to the new car market. And he says that gray is the new neutral color, and that every maker and almost every model have a new gray coat this year. Back home, I see a lot of new gray cars. New cars here are also gray. The new police vehicles are gray. Are we at the forefront of a trend? Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Pat, what's your address?
These are my review. I filled in the sheet.
Okay, so Mike will have it. Okay, thank you. Does anyone else want to speak to the council? Yeah, I'm gonna let you speak during the sidewalk issue. Since you're gonna be here, Chuck.
How about a sidewalk?
She'll speak. You can speak then.
Yeah,
Wait,
because you said, you told me you could stay a
Oh,
little
sure,
longer.
certainly.
Okay, thank you, Chuck.
Absolutely.
And okay, is anybody on?
no,
Okay, nobody on Zoom. So anyway, okay, we'll go on to Lucas and Darian are going to come and speak. I got it wrong still. Okay. Would you want to come up to the podium and
Yeah, so
speak a little
obviously, she's already introduced us. My name is Lucas. I am the operations supervisor up at LRS right now. Basically, we're just coming here to kind of introduce you to ourselves. There is a little bit of new management up there. So that is a good thing. We have turned this place quite a bit around, and hopefully you guys have noticed that in service. Hopefully, and I'm gonna leave my contact information. If you guys have any concerns or any comments that you think we can do better to better serve you guys, just shoot me an email, call me, let us know anytime, and we will do anything to make sure you guys are serviced. So
I've noticed a big difference from when you started several years ago, and I think you, from what I understand, you had problems with personnel
Correct.
and things, and it's changed a lot in the last few years, and I've let the administration know that.
Yes.
And in fact, I want to say that when we had our street project and this, half the street was closed, they actually got out of their trucks and walked down and brought the bins to their truck,
Yep.
which was a very,
Yeah, we
Good thing.
try to do just about anything to accommodate our cities that we do service. Had the same situation up in North Liberty. They closed off a section of the road. Most of them were nice enough to bring it to where we can service it, but we do walk up, try to service you on those days.
and at the beginning, you didn't quite have, all the places weren't being serviced. You know, you'd skip something sometime, but I think that's all been worked out.
Yeah, it's not going to happen again, I can promise you that.
so that's good.
The day you're supposed to be serviced, you will be serviced. And if there are any issues, we will be contacting you immediately, letting you know of the situation.
Does anyone have any questions for him?
I'll ask a
Yeah.
question, because you have been doing a good job. I wonder what kind of job we're doing as a city, because I see a lot of, things piled up. I see people that have bags sitting
Right,
without tags.
Yeah,
and-
so that's about the only thing. I don't hear very many complaints from the driver that services you guys. So you guys are doing fantastic. You're always gonna have people that either don't have the right amount of stickers on their extra garbage or the wrong yard waste bag out there, right? But we try our best to communicate with you guys, and like I said, there are rare instances with you guys. I haven't had any complaints from our drivers down here.
Okay.
Well, don't you have a sticker system too that you can?
Yes, for
Could you
extra,
talk
like
about
extra
that?
bags, yes, so, some people would like to get an extra garbage can. Instead of doing the cost upfront all year that you're paying for that can, you might only have extra bags once a month. We do have a sticker program that you can buy, I do not know the correct. amount.
$3
Yep, there you go.
for a 35-gallon, 40-pound limit.
There you go, you know better than I do.
I read it on the
Yeah,
website.
yeah, there's multiple ways to figure it out. If residents do not know, they can feel free to call the office and we will gladly let them know of our sticker program. But that is probably more of a easier and cheaper way to be able to have us take care of your extra garbage.
Lucas, don't you have a sticker though if they do something wrong?
Yes, so if there is something that we're seeing the residents are doing, such as maybe putting their garbage can out backwards. We do have a little sorry sticker that we have our drivers put out there and put, hey, please next time, put it out the correct way. Any kind of situation like that, we do have tags. They're nice, bright yellow. They say sorry right at the top. And there's a little section at the bottom that our drivers will put notes in.
How about recycling? How's that going?
Good.
Recycling, like the right stuff for the wrong stuff.
I haven't seen very many complaints. Of course, it comes in at mass quantities at our site. But we don't necessarily pick through each truck from each city. But usually we know the issue areas that are happening, but I haven't had any issues from down this way at all, so. I'm doing very well with recycling.
Okay, anything else? Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
You can leave anytime. You don't have to stay. I'm just gonna tell you, but we do have a great meeting. Oh, yes, leave those.
So-
Yeah, that's great.
My direct contact, so if you have. any
Okay,
issues,
perfect. Thank
please
you.
shoot me. Thank you, guys.
And, okay, I'm gonna go, while he's doing that, I'm gonna go through the mayor's report a little bit, and I just wrote a little something because Troy Kelsey, our new city administrator, is unable to attend the meeting tonight. And he hit the ground running November 1st, and I wanted to say that I had him come to the MPO Transportation Technical Advisory Committee meeting with me. And he will continue to go with that. I have been doing that meeting to save the city money instead of having the city engineer go. And so if he can't go, I'll attend, but he's planning on attending all future meetings. And Troy and the chief are working currently on getting, updated estimates and fixing the city office door. And they're working through that, and it should be done probably later this month or at least by December. And also, Troy and I, oh yeah, he's been doing some things, as you know, by reading Ryan's report, that he's been doing some things volunteer before he started in November. We weren't sure when he could start exactly, and it turned out November, but Troy and I did a PowerPoint presentation at the Noon Rotary Club. And I wanted to also thank RJ for the police officer for putting together the photos and the PowerPoint. That was very nice. And Troy and I are starting to work through a few leaf vacuum complaints and things like that. And he wrote me a text here and said he thought he could attend by Zoom, but he can't tonight. And he said, I intend to meet with the rest of city staff and speak with individual counselors in the coming weeks. And so so look for that. Everybody will meet with him. And I think that's everything. So anyway, he's also done several interviews with, you might have seen it in the Gazette or the DI. They interviewed me too, and then he said he's gonna be on KCRG next week as city administrator. You know, he's gonna talk about being the first city administrator. They're very nice articles, and I think that's everything. So,
I would only add, Louise and Troy really did a great job at the Rotary meeting.
no,
Some of the other folks.
he's in the new Rotary Club.
I'm still getting comments about how.
Oh, my
much
goodness.
People enjoyed it, so it came across very, very well.
Well, how nice. Guess who invited us? Apparently, every city had been there. And so we wanted to represent well. And we talked about all our businesses in town. It was very good. So anyway, thank you. So we'll go on to legal report, and Steve has quite a few items here. I'm gonna let you go.
Okay. Some of them are on the agenda, so we can go in, I guess, that order, is it?
Well, we start, wherever you want to start.
Okay,
I'll just check them off.
that's great. So I guess I'll just start at the top. This is the time of year when the city considers matters related to the One University Place tax incremental financing TIF. This is a rebate TIF, so you know the city doesn't pay anything out in the TIF unless and until the city receives tax payments in. I gave you the full description of the history, and I, talking to Louise before the meeting, I maybe should have pointed out that I'm only giving you that description for your information. None of that's new. It's all, you know, frankly quite old, but every year the developer submits a certificate and a worksheet that calculates the incremental value increase of this property that we're sitting in over and above what existed before, which was a church. So it's all incremental value because the church valuation was zero. And then there's a formula and a calculation, and this is an estimate, of course, at this point, but what the developer submits is a number and then requests that the council appropriate 95% of that number to the developer, and then the 5% would go to the city of University Heights for any lawful purpose that the city wants to use it for. So there are two resolutions before you. The first is 2441, which authorizes or approves some fund transfers in the city. This is, I never know what the right word to use is, an accounting maneuver. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like there's anything wrong with it, but it's Steve Cool directs this. It's just the way the city handles its bookkeeping with respect to this TIF, but it creates the it creates or authorizes the city to accept 5% of whatever this 5% of whatever this increment calculation ends up being, and it may not be the exact amount that's calculated or estimated right now, but that's what the 2441 does, and that would be before you if someone wants to make that motion.
Motion.
A motion by Steph, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Doug, discussion.
Steve, this is where I usually check in about abstaining from certain votes because I own space here.
Yeah, I
I think maybe 42, but maybe
yeah, I don't
41.
think you need to for 41. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, Mike.
Gone,
Aye.
Herbold,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Schroeder. Aye. Swales,
Aye.
motion carries 5-0.
And then 2442, then would appropriate the 95%, actually appropriates the 95% to the city or to the developer and 5% to the city. Again, the estimated values are in the resolution, thanks to Lisa Moore for pointing out that we goofed one of those numbers, but we have them right now in the revised 2442. So like I said, what you just adopted, lets the city do its accounting procedure to make things square for the state auditor, I think, more than anything, but this is the actual appropriation. So 2442 is before you.
Is there a motion? A motion by Steph, is there a second?
I'll second it again.
Second by Doug. Discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Herbold,
Abstain?
Moore,
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Swales,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
motion carries 4-0, one abstention.
Okay,
Then 2443 is just sort of a formalization, you might say. Some time back, the University of Iowa would approach the city council about ownership of it's mostly ravine property that's to the west of us here. As I think the university got focused on this when they were making plans to allow for the development of what was the University Club property. But independent, I mean, whether that's developed or not, the university had asked the council whether the council would want to take ownership of this ravine property, and the council at the time said, sure. And so what 2443 does is it approves what's called a land patent. And I tried to explain this in my report, but if a patent is something that the state issues to create ownership of property. If it was a transaction between private individuals or a private corporation, it would be a deed. Kind of just a formality or format, but anyway, 2443 accepts the land patent from the university so that the city will own this property. I've looked at the land patent and it's in proper order and signed by the people that need to sign it and all that good stuff. So 2443 will accept ownership of the ravine, and if the council approves the resolution, then I will see that gets recorded, or I'll ask Troy to, but one way or the other, that'll get recorded. So 2443 is before you.
Move for passage?
okay, motion by Nick, second,
I'll second.
second. By Tim, discussion. Okay, Mike, roll call.
Swales,
Aye.
Gone,
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Schroeder. Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
And the next item is the second consideration of ordinance number 256. And as I said in my report, everything that's listed there is just a repeat from last month. But essentially, this ordinance permits enforcement of city ordinances that are not of a criminal nature, let's say, by way of municipal infraction and not by way of criminal citation, like a simple misdemeanor. I won't go through any more of it unless anyone has questions. The council adopted it for the first time in October. So the second consideration of ordinance 256 is before you.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Nick, is there a second?
Oh.
Second by Lisa. Discussion? Okay, second consideration, roll call.
Moore.
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Swales.
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Herbold.
Aye.
Second consideration carries 5-0.
Thank you.
And then, the last item on my report is ordinance, 255, which, as I explained in the report, I asked, that Mike list this on the agenda as a first consideration. The fact is that you've really approved this once, but, I just get a little, conscientious or focused. The way that it was published before your meeting last month was slightly different than the way you adopted it. So my suggestion is you call this a first consideration. If you get to December and you say, you know, we've really already done this twice, let's make collapse 2 into 3 in December or not, whatever you want to do, but sometimes the council has done that, but it's the first consideration of ordinance 255, which adopts certain recommendations from the zoning commission and from city staff to make certain changes to the zoning ordinance. And the changes from the version that was initially submitted before the October meeting, which again, were amended before you voted last month, but I tried to spell that out, that game day is only football game days. And the language that says that somebody could occupy, live in a camper or an RV on game day weekends, that language is omitted from the version in front of you tonight. Other than that, everything is the same as it was last month. So first consideration, ordinance 255 is before you.
Is there a motion? Motion by Lisa, is there a second? Second by Steph. Discussion.
So did Pat Yagi have a concern with the current language, or you're okay with the current one?
I'm okay with the current language, but you allow motorhomes to be parked in driveways. right?
So the concern is with temporary structures, even if there's not someone living in it, you're concerned that it's.
I'm
allowed.
concerned that they look bad, just, you know, that they're there on the street in the front yard. And I don't know what other cities' regulations are about that. I know Corvallis requires they be completely screened from a neighbor or from the street. And I don't know the other cities' regulations, but I think you should know if they do have them and what they have. Because I think if they do have a regulation, they have a good reason for having it.
Steve, do you know? Can you talk to that?
I don't really know what their current regulations are. I really don't know. I think I can look into it. I'm happy to. I can do that before next month when you'd have your second or third consideration, however you wanted to do it. But part of this was well, I mean, the council discussed whether at least some of the substance of what Pat's brought up about whether we should allow RVs at all. Part of the effort here was to be real clear that, you know, if you are permitted to have an RV or a camper, you can't live in it. But I'm happy to look into it.
So the concern is that, or temporary structures, you can have a trailer home, mobile home, camper, RV, or other building that's not permanently affixed, you just can't have someone staying in it.
Well, you can't have a mobile home or a trailer home, period, unless you call a trailer an RV, but you can have you can have a RV or a camper. Okay, so the trailer homes and mobile homes are not permitted in the R1 zone. But the other, you know, an RV would be permitted. You know, it can't be parked in a yard except on game days, and it can't be occupied on game day weekends or any other time.
Gotcha.
Oh, it's just how they're stored. And should they be screened? Or,
And it was permitted before, this didn't open the door to that, right?
I think that's true.
I guess I'm comfortable moving forward with it as it is, but I'm also open for ideas for a future change. You know, if that makes sense.
Especially if you're gonna see what other towns' regulations are.
Okay, so this is first consideration of ordinance number 255. That's what we're at, right?
Yes.
Okay, right. So is there a motion?
Yeah, we've had a motion in a second.
We do?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Swales,
Aye.
Gahn,
Aye.
Herbold,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion, the first consideration passes 5-0.
Okay,
The only other item, if I could, it's not on my report. I was asked at the last meeting to take a look at some particulars related to the council's discussion of the accessory dwelling unit, ADU. How you could allow more living space, restrictions on who can reside there, what triggers a rental permit requirement. I'm still kind of in the process of that, so I'm not ready to report on it, but I will be by next month.
thank you. Any other questions for Steve? On any topic? Okay, we'll go to city clerk report.
I sent a written report. I guess the only other thing I'd mention, I had a request today for paratransit services, which is just to let you know, it doesn't come up very often, but that is something that we do, and that's part of our 2080 agreement with Johnson County. So working through that, and we get one maybe every other year. So
Tom Bray's retired and now there's a new.
new person, so that's why I'm working on
Dawn
this, and I'll have to
Allen.
talk to them.
Dawn
Yeah,
Allen's her name.
yeah.
Yes,
But just to let you know that
thank you.
that's. in the
We don't
works.
get very many, but thank you. Any questions for Mike? Okay, we'll go to city treasurer's report. And you submitted the warrants and
I did, and I have an addendum. Bear with me here. Yesterday was Veterans Day,
yes,
and as a veteran, I thank all veterans present for their service. And let me get you real quick the list. There's 3 visa bills. One is the customary car wash, Google Docs, or Google Suite Grasshopper we normally see. Another one is for the wastewater permit, MS4 application fee.
Oh,
And if you have
right.
any questions on that,
right,
talk to my colleague. That's $1,282.79. We have police uniforms for $964.56. And we have a warrant to University of Iowa surplus for a point blank vest and carrier for an even grant. And we have a fuel bill from City of Iowa City for $766 and a CenturyLink bill.
any questions about any of those for John? Okay, is there any objection to paying the warrants? Hearing none, the warrants will be paid with the additions that you just spoke about by unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anything else you wanted to?
Well, there's a new line item on the treasurer's report. It's called vehicle inspection fees. I'm now getting a lot of letters from Iowa Department of Transportation. We're getting $40 remits from Chief Akers and crew doing vehicle inspections. So that's a new line item that you'll see on the treasurer's report.
Thank you. Any questions for John? Okay, well, thank you, John. We'll go on to streets and sidewalks, and Chuck is here tonight. And he first contacted Nick Herbold about a sidewalk issue. And do you want to come up and speak a little bit, Chuck? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
My name
evening.
is Chuck Butler. I live reside in 1482 Grand Avenue, right around the corner. And I've got an issue on a sidewalk that's gonna need some attention. And looking through the ordinances, the responsibility pretty much relies on my shoulders or the residents' shoulders, the boulevard or the right of ways, they call that. But I really need, it's a healthy tree. The sidewalk is cracking because a tree root is growing up there. And to replace the sidewalk would be kind of futile, but if there's reaching out to you folks and just maybe deciding on a mutual thing, what we want to do and try and solve the problem. Oh, great, Mike, I've got some pictures too, but on my phone.
It
Notice,
took a minute. Zoom was being slow on share.
but, it's not really, it's hazardous now. It's beyond an inch or so. And I'm afraid with the snow and stuff coming up and at nighttime, it's gonna be kind of a liability there, so.
Our engineer took this picture and
That's
looked at it.
Street View.
And Ryan, do you want?
That one's from Street View. Yeah.
So we're
I've
blaming it
walked
on you, Ryan.
Yeah, I've walked it before when we were doing the MetroNet installations of the neighborhood, so I'm aware of kind of that.
Yeah, right.
The sidewalk is, you can see it on this side of it, it's of that tree, it's. The majority of the sidewalk's kind of raised above the grade, the surrounding grade, so it's kind of above the ground, so not only. It sounds like maybe it's cracked and there's maybe some offset along the route, but it's also got, what I would call probably fall hazards off the edges of the sidewalks, right? Because of the tree roots raising it above the grade, so
As you can see, the one that's raised there, Ryan, is a new,
new panel.
new pad, so it's done this before. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had, so Councilmember Herbold had sent us an email about it, and I just made some comments, back that. If the intent was to reroute it, it looks like it would go towards the house more than likely. Due to the position of the tree, and in that case. I was recommending, that the city confirm with the city attorney and also the building official that. We would recommend an easement for that, to make sure that there's still. Public access and public right to use that sidewalk if it's on a private property instead of in the city's right of way. And so we got confirmation from Steve Ballard and Terry Gerd that would be the appropriate way to do that, if that's what we did, is routed the sidewalk around the tree onto private property, so. And then also, probably a good recommendation from Terry was, if that was the option that you chose, we'd probably want something written into that easement agreement that once the tree is removed, if it ever is, that the sidewalks put back on the original alignment.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
was thinking.
yeah.
Ryan, would there be the, two other options possibly? Whether an arborist would be called in to see if the supporting root that's causing the damage can be cut away without damaging the tree, because it's a very healthy tree at this point, or, remove the tree altogether, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, Louise heads up the tree committee, so maybe she can speak better to like the process of the removal of the tree better than I can, normally, but. I think that might certainly be an option you would
I've
have.
called in arborists before, because Virginia, who was on council, was an arborist, and now she's not, she's moved out of town, but we've called in Black Squirrel more recently, asking about trees. We have different arborists we could call in. Would you like to go that route first?
As far as.
Get an
cutting-
arborist
Oh,
to,
Absolutely, yes, Louise, I would, but I realized that I didn't realize, well, until I read through the ordinances, we have a city tree board.
yes,
Yeah.
but none of them are arborists. But
that
they're
would be-
very good people.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
If, if
And
that-
definitely we work through them too.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that's, when I talked to you before the meeting, you kind of wanted to look at the tree and have an arborist look at it and see what
Hopefully,
they,
Yeah, that would be an option, but.
yeah.
But if it doesn't work, we'll-
I think we could do that first.
Yeah.
And I know we're kind of hurrying a little because we want to kind of do this before winter, is my understanding,
Well, there's a,
if we can.
yeah, I just want to make, we're aware of the situation and we want to get it fixed as soon as possible, so. Wherever that dart falls on the.
Well, we're
calendar.
also, Nick has been working with Absolute Landscaping, and I'm sure I could contact Virginia and see if,
Virginia left and is working for the city of Coralville now, is my understanding. But I like Black Squirrel.
oh, she left? Oh, yeah, okay, I didn't realize that.
She left
Usually
before
lets me know, but I
landscape,
guess,
Yeah.
I didn't know that, huh?
think it's
But I,
better just-
They
Black
kind-
Squirrel, I think Black Squirrel. does
Okay,
good work
I
if that's
didn't
what
know
she's
it,
doing.
but we've called them in.
Yeah.
That they pretty trusted arborists.
Those news to me.
I've had good luck.
Is one of the options to build up the soil a few inches? And have a nice mound, or would that change the drainage?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably
Yeah.
one thing we'd have to look at is, so like normally. Like even under sidewalk repair, you wouldn't, we wouldn't want it to have a certain vertical difference
Right.
within a certain,
Yeah.
distance, and so, cause that can. Also be a sort of a tripping hazard or a ponding hazard, right, where you
Yeah.
might get freezing water or big puddles from that, but. I mean, it would have to be, if we, I mean, similar to if it's offset from that tree. My expectation is that it's probably needs to be offset a decent distance from how big that tree root is, if you're not gonna cut the root. So again, if you offset it, it again is gonna expand. The further you go, the further out you need to go left and right to make sure that it's a reasonable taper, right? So that
Yeah.
users aren't feeling
Yep.
major impact, so.
I kind of looked at it, Ryan, it looks like a good couple feet at least, you know, it's gonna have to go out.
Yeah, so
Chuck, did you say this tree is healthy in
Yes,
your estimation? It's a healthy white pine, I think you told
it
me.
is, although it is starting to look like a power pole, because thanks to our police department that helped me drag out heavy snows and the branches fall and. so
Yeah,
it's
'cause
losing quite a
pines
few
do
limbs,
that.
But it still produces a lot of pine cones and pine needles to rake, that's for sure.
What would you like to see happens there? I mean, you have a preference?
Preference would be if it keep the tree healthy as the root. If not, second choice would be to remove the tree, the third would be the right of way.
So,
What permissions does he need in terms of the tree?
I'm not 100%
I
certain.
don't know that he
Louise,
needs
do
any
you know?
permissions, does he?
Yeah, if it's in the road.
As far as
Well,
taking down the
easement.
tree, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to, yes, I can.
Yeah, I mean, the ordinance really requires that the council would have a say in that, would approve that. I mean, it's the council's, it's the tree belongs to the city.
yeah.
The property owner is required to maintain it. You know, I think our ordinance says that really before anything is planted or taken down, I think the council's to be consulted. I'd have to review the ordinance myself, but obviously the efforts being made here to communicate, I think that's the point.
Yeah.
Ordinance number 52, section 2, no person, firm, or corporation shall plant or remove any tree or shrub on public property without specific approval of the city tree board.
I guess I'd be interested because of the timeline and the property owner lives there, so, I mean, I think they have a interest in not getting rid of a tree if you know, if it doesn't make sense in some ways, and if they'd be paying for the removal too. I guess I'd be interested if the council would wanna give him, you know, permission to do what he sees appropriate. Yeah, I think your first step would be if you can have them chip it out, you do that.
Yeah, correct.
And then, I don't know if that would make the sidewalk kind of fall back down or what they could do on that.
Well, Nick, there's a couple cracked, panels in there, so we'd have to probably replace about 4 anyway, so it's gonna take some concrete work in regardless, but we're sure prepared to do that and make it right.
Ryan, you said if he would, if we had an easement, you'd have to see a drawing of how the concrete would be designed.
Yeah,
Right?
the alignment, I guess is the main
Yeah.
thing. If that's the route that we ended up, we would probably want to
If
see some
we
sort of
end up that
sketch of
way.
how it would lay out, just to make sure that they're. Like I said, the taper is appropriate for that distance, and it could be probably an on-site review or a sketch on a sheet of paper.
Ryan, there is one, I believe it's off, Kosher, it's on George Street. I believe,
Yes.
and it curves around, and that's what first got me the idea,
Mhm.
that would be a possibility,
Yeah.
but yeah, I understand.
Yeah, right, there's another one,
328.
328 Kosher, that does the same thing.
Yeah.
It
328.
328
goes
Kosher
out
goes out
towards the
towards
street.
the street, but I just walked it tonight. I mean, it's a pretty gradual
That's good to
bend.
know.
It basically has one panel that's kind of in line with the tree, but then it takes three panels and it's also radial, just like the one that you're talking about, that kind of, it curves instead of being straight line tapers and stuff, so. But yeah, that kind of distance of probably three panels each way of whatever it takes to get past the tree is
correct.
what it's probably gonna take, right? So.
I guess I'm curious to know what permissions you would ask the council for tonight so you can keep this moving, or do you anticipate finding out information coming back? I mean, it'd be December before we met again.
It'd be a kind of an ongoing thing, so I don't know how soon we can get to it, but if we could get an arborist, and Louise, if you would want to contact Money, or would that? fall
Oh,
on my
I can,
shoulders? Either
I
way,
can do it.
that'd be
He's been
great.
very good. I know Nick's worked with them too, and Lisa's worked with them, and
Sure.
I don't know if other council have, but
And then.
I think
with
this
that
time of
involved-
year, they're maybe more available too, you know,
Yeah. Also,
so,
Have you talked to the
Oh.
concrete people?
well, we've got a couple concrete. Sure, they'll meet with your approval, but we've got a couple concrete people in the family that.
Oh, there you go.
Chomping at the bit.
oh,
That.
Well, I'll-
Going up and over, isn't it?
I'll go ahead and call tomorrow if it's okay with everyone and see what I can set up and contact you. And when they can come, hopefully ASAP,
Wonderful.
you know, and well. I would think they could. So that's where we'll start and then. See what he says, and then what's the next, I mean, since we don't meet till December 10th. You're gonna go through the options,
Yeah.
and then maybe you do a drawing or of what. If we do the easement,
If the easement is what you would decide for me to do, then we'll
Well-
have a drawing and present it, and see what, go from there, but.
Well,
like-
I'm
Excuse
sorry.
me, no,
if his preference is see about cutting the root, remove the tree. I mean, maybe he'd like to have a different kind of tree planted there. I mean, if it's
oh, I
Dropping-
see what you're saying,
dropping needles and branches and pine cones, maybe you'd rather remove the tree before you talk about,
Yeah, that'd be my second choice.
so can
Well-
we,
that's your second choice?
yeah,
Yeah. remove
Oh,
the tree
okay.
Altogether. Repair the cycle.
But to remove the tree,
Okay,
he needs.
oh, so we
city-
really do need the arborist to make, you make a decision next.
Yeah, and then, as,
And
as indicated, I was saying that the council had to approve, I forgot that we amended the ordinance to say that the tree board has to
board.
approve the removal, so I think if, before you remove it, let's
Uh-huh.
talk so we can convene a meeting of the tree board and you can explain and
You bet. Steve.
Yeah.
You bet.
You wouldn't need permission though, if Black Squirrel came and said, we can chip this down, he can just do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
And then, other alternatives will meet again.
Then if you want to remove it, it sounds like you reach out to get the tree board to meet, and they might be able to just set up a meeting, get together, is that correct?
yeah, that's right. I think the only thing I would add, Nick, is if the arborist indicates that the chipping or whatever can be done, you might want to involve Ryan in that discussion, just to make sure what the, what the topography, if that's the right word, the lay of the land's gonna really be in terms of laying down some concrete and having a suitable,
yeah.
sidewalk. It's not gonna have, mud spilling on it
Maybe I
because
can
there's
text
a,
him tonight.
shelf and whatever you wanna call
Yeah, and we can talk with Terry about just a permit really for that.
Okay, now I know. what
Yeah,
it
right.
means.
So,
The way it read in the ordinances though, Randy, you don't need a permit to repair sidewalks. It said,
let me check that. I'm gonna have to check.
You had
it.
it.
I thought the website sent you to, but that's not the ordinance.
Because I thought we needed permits for sidewalk repairs also, right? But it's been a long time. I haven't had very many sidewalk repairs come in, so.
You don't remember approving one?
Yeah, because I think our right-of-way permits are only a $50 fee, and that's basically based off of like driveway and sidewalk repairs, not the thing we're struggling with is, all these private utility companies coming in and doing a lot more right-of-way work recently underground, so, our fee structure isn't set up for like utility work necessarily. It's more set up for resident work in the right way.
And Chuck found
They- Yeah, work on sidewalks is within the city right of way, so the property owner does not have to obtain a permit to conduct work,
Does not,
does not.
Says that on the website.
Oh, I'm sorry, so
does.
the property owner does.
I'm like,
I saw it.
Cut some things up.
I read that somewhere.
I mean, I guess just for reference, I think even if you were to like remove and replace your driveway on your private property, Terry Gert, maybe not me, but Terry Gert, the building official, would also need a permit. I mean, just for reference, yeah, so he would issue a permit for that, just like we would issue a permit for working the right away, so.
so we can count option 1 and option 2. We can go ahead and do those 2 options and you'll be working with both.
Well,
Maybe.
I mean, if it's the tree board, maybe not.
I
guess.
mean,
That's
I'm saying you'll work with them
Yeah.
and of course tree board too. I
Yeah.
mean, it just depends if we get to number 2,
Mhm.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
you know? Okay, so we're gonna go with it, Chuck. That's good.
Let's go with it. You
I
bet.
know.
Louise, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Do you
well,
have my
and
number,
thanks for
or-
calling Nick and getting it going and,
Oh, you bet, you bet.
Yeah.
Thank you for.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
Good luck.
Well, thank you, guys.
We can put in.
Thank you.
Tree here, we'd rather have an acorn tree.
We appreciate you fixing a sidewalk that's got a problem. That's good. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Uh,
Let me know.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, then we'll continue here with, Ryan and Doug on consideration of resolution 2444.
Yeah, so 2444 is a snow removal contract, so I reached out with Mark Phelps again with Hawkeye Construction and snow removal. He said he's keeping the unit prices the same as they were last year, and they are actually the same as they were the year before, so this is our 3rd year at the same unit prices. The contract is set up for 1-year term again, which we've done the last 3 years also, so. But it's pretty much the same contract, new dates. So if there's any questions on it, I could answer those, but.
The thing I talked to him about, I guess, over the years is the snow salt barrels. I know the top of Melrose didn't seem to get use, and he seemed to confirm it didn't really get use. I don't know if you've talked to him about that lately. I know those cost more. And just, I guess, the precise.
Yeah, you
location
mentioned
of
that before. We could eliminate that.
I just
I mean,
wonder.
you're right there monitoring it, so you'd know better.
I think too, because that's just such a main road that the city, because that's part of the deal we have, right? Is that the Iowa City maintains that.
That's
right? And
exactly
we do
right.
A little bit more elsewhere. They seem to do a really good job on Melrose, and so it just seems to be a garbage can for people to throw stuff in, but. That's been my experience, and when I asked him, I think that was his recollection, that when he picks it up, it's pretty, it's pretty much full, so I don't think it's getting used. But the others, I don't, I think Lisa's mentioned that.
Well,
one included
Lisa, we
does get
moved
used.
one, right?
No, we were going to move it, and when he came out and we talked about it, it's like, you're right, it needs to
Well,
stay where.
is there another one? Cause I think that's a good idea to remove that one.
Yeah, the one,
And
the one, that-
it gets narrow in there anyway with the right of way. And I've never seen anybody use it in the last few years. Since Iowa City's been doing. Yeah, see, there was like a little bit of a hill,
The
but
one at the
do-
northeast corner.
do you remember the
This
one? I think he did change, I don't remember,
so there's the one that's at the George Kozer intersection.
right?
It's on the southeast corner,
But
and that seems to have gotten used last year anyway. I mean, I know I went
Okay.
out and threw some of it
right,
in
so
in
you're
that
okay. I know
intersection.
we talked about something.
You're talking about the red dots.
Oh, yeah.
One on Oakcrest too, that gets used a lot.
So Ryan, you'll tell them not to put the one on, or I will too, but you tell them.
Yeah, I can
Not to put the
definitely relay
one-
that to Mark. Sorry, I hadn't
Yeah.
heard that or any.
I think,
comments on
if,
that.
if that's okay
Stand
with
there.
council too, right? Nod, head nods. Yeah,
And I don't know about the one on.
I remember looking at that and talking about that before. And he could always bring one in if we need it too. He's very good about that. So we're okay everywhere else.
All the rest of
Right.
them stay then.
Yeah, we definitely need it on the hill over there by where the cars go up the hill on Oak Crest.
Oakcrest.
Yeah, we definitely need it there and they need to refill that frequently.
You two of them there.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, you live over there, you live over there, I live over there. Yeah, and maybe you might go that direction
Mhm.
sometime. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, so,
The,
okay,
the one on,
You need the one on Highland? There's not a hill there.
so,
and the one on, the last one on Sunset. I'm trying to picture it,
Down to the south,
yes.
yeah. I think that's all fences and walls, isn't it? Where would they put that?
I mean, there's the overhead sidewalk, so it probably goes in between the sidewalk and the street when he places it, but can't say I've driven it. It's been installed.
Yeah,
so you're,
seems pretty flat. Wow. Let's wait till it's icy and you go out. And
Yeah.
That goes down.
Yeah,
So-
The back.
this one,
Should have one on Highland there, about on Rose Street, there. That's a pretty short drop off there.
It goes downhill. pretty good.
the one in Triangle
North
Park.
end of
I don't
Monroe,
know.
Deer Street. Going down that hill.
we're good.
Okay.
I've never had a problem and I've lived there a few years.
What about the one on Triangle Park?
Yeah,
Does that get used? That's pretty.
I think along the sidewalk, maybe,
On the, you mean on the sidewalk?
yeah, on the,
Sidewalk.
more on the sidewalk. I don't know, that's a good question. We
So
could
I don't
talk-
see the invoices for the snow removal work, so I don't really get a good detail or a good perspective of like what's.
You don't drive around in University Heights when it's
Yeah.
snowing? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't been doing that.
It's not gonna snow this year, I don't
Yeah.
think.
But I mean,
So,
certainly if
okay.
there's, I
We'll,
mean,
we'll
feedback
still
on that, we
look
can
at,
update the map.
we'll still look at
and,
some.
Make those adjustments.
Do you know about that one, Lisa? If that one gets used around Triangle Park?
I guess maybe he's saying on here he uses it because that's public sidewalk, so they're.
I
Use
kind
it-
of think
Use it on the
so.
actual sidewalk. Pretty,
There's a lot of
There's a bus
sidewalk.
walk right there.
Oh, yeah, you're around there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Used to be
so
green.
we'll eliminate the
We haven't
one.
changed the map
for
for
sure.
3 years, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I mean, this,
Oh.
it's not like I added these or anything this
Yeah.
year, but I'm just
Mhm.
but
So
certainly
is-
if we don't need them, we might as well not pay them.
Those are good questions. So we have consideration of resolution 2444 before the council. Is there a motion? Motion by Nick, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Lisa. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Gone,
Aye.
Herbold,
I,
Moore,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Swales.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Now, Ryan, did you have anything else or Doug?
I didn't really have much to add. I guess one thing I would note is, that you might notice is, I coordinated with the contractors that did the Gulfview Avenue, improvements, which included permeable pavers, where the parking stalls are at on Gulfview. Kind of by Stella's there, or north of Stella's. So there's been some settlement, that's been more severe than we would anticipate typically. So I met with them and we have a 5-year maintenance bond, for that project. And so we're kind of at that 3-year mark now. And so they are planning to come back and reset those brick pavers and raise them up. Anything that's more than an eighth of an inch below the adjacent pavement edges, so. They plan to do that work in December, the first 2 weeks of December, this year, so. It'll be after the last home game, which is basically the last day of November, right? this year, so. Yeah. So if you see work happening down there, that's what that is. There'd be no cost to the city for raising those brick pavers. We do need to start a maintenance program for cleaning the brick pavers out. The joints, can get clogged with dirt and
Yeah.
debris, and on Golfview, Golfview's a lot worse than the Olive Court area is. Because there's a lot of large trees, a lot of pines especially, so there's a lot of debris in there. The contractors asked that we either get them cleaned out before they do that work, or they're gonna submit a price for their time, to clean the joints out ahead of that work. And I was noting, to Mayor Fromm and Doug that it seemed reasonable to me that we would pay for that and not be the contractor's cost to bear. So we do have budgeted money for maintenance of the private pavers in the budget this year, so.
So is it more efficient for them to just do it or to have somebody else do it?
I think so. I've reached out. The hard part was, and I asked the guy that installed them, like, who does this, right? Maintenance, these cleanings. The hard part is it takes special equipment and it's not like anybody can do it. And even these guys, like, they don't do that, but they're gonna have to do it in a more unconventional way of just like power washing and leaf blowing and raking and cleaning it up before they start ripping the pavers out. And the intent, yeah, is that it'd be efficient for them to do it because they can do it right before they take them out and avoid contaminating the rock chamber below. So hopefully the price that comes in isn't astronomical and we have to pivot from that, but we'll review that as soon as I get it. But
But what happens if we get frost in the ground, heaven forbid, between then and now, could they remove those bricks if there's frost in the ground, those are frozen in place?
I mean, if it's that cold, I mean, probably, I don't know, because the aggregate, I'm not as concerned about the aggregate, which it's all just rock underneath.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be as concerned about that as I would, like a soil subgrade or something, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially if they do it the first week or second week of December. Hopefully we don't have like a full set in frost, I guess. 2 feet deep, right? So.
Anything else, Ryan? Okay,
I don't think so. I just wanted to mention those things because there might be
yeah, that's
some
good.
questions coming in.
And I like that you're gonna start a maintenance program, to look
Yeah,
at that, because
yeah, I
we
wish
were
I'd-
told when it was constructed, we needed to
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, the Olive Court, like I said, is not in bad shape at all, but Golfview is gonna be
Yeah.
probably pretty regular cleaning to stay up on that one, so. Yeah, I've reached out to City of Corville. I know they have the equipment to do that work. I haven't heard back from their streets department yet on whether somebody told me they may rent theirs out, but I haven't confirmed that yet, so.
Any other questions for Ryan or Doug? Okay, we'll go on to community protection, and the chief sent around a report, and very nice report, thank you.
That's part of the report is under the top item that we finally got somebody hired. And you saw from John's report what it cost to put somebody in a year. But we were able to hire Matt Van Brogen. Nice young man, 31 years old, worked at Cedar County Sheriff's Department, worked at Benton County Sheriff's Department, and then went to work for the University of Iowa. Fortunate for us, they put him in the hospital, which kept him within 4 walls, and he absolutely did not enjoy it. So he applied, Stephanie helped with his interview, very pleasant young man. He likes it, he's gonna orient, I think, Saturday, and then actually start on Monday. Starting the daytime service. Beyond that. of course,
And what shift is he working?
he currently or for us?
Well, for you,
For us, he'll be on overnights and it's preferred for him. He is married, has a 2-month-old baby. But he is prepared for night work. And it sounds like he's been on nights for a number of years over time.
great, that's wonderful. I noticed in your report, are you done with your report?
Yes, ma'am.
You had all those, uh, I guess you did Zoom or meetings where you talked about elderly, scams and things. And I was amazed at everything, but I've talked with some council members who've talked to me and said, your name's been sent to me and. There's scams for everybody now. And I was thinking maybe in the future, we could have some kind of community forum or something that maybe the police could talk about all the scams and what's going on and what you can do, since you get training in it
Sure.
and everything, that maybe that would be a good future.
That is not a bad thing.
I mean, anything I get, I really don't believe anymore, hardly,
Yeah.
And I've gotten things from other offices, you know what I mean, that I contact around and they said, oh, they're and they're a scam. I mean, I emailed them and it's, so, and I know I've talked to many council members who said, did you send me this? And I go, no, I didn't send. So that would be, and I know you know about those too.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that would be a nice community forum to have, and we could do it Zoom and in person or something, whatever.
We, there's a, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just gonna say, could we put that on our city website? Well,
We could put, yeah, we could do it live and then, for those that
Oh, yeah.
would prefer to read it on the website, we could prepare a report
Well,
that way.
I don't know, just something.
Yeah, we have had, I believe it's 3 phone calls of people that are outside of our community and they're like, is Sergeant Tucker around? He called to threaten to take me to jail. And it's somebody that, pretends to be Sergeant Tucker. Calls, says, hey, if you don't pay this amount, we're gonna put a warrant out for your arrest and come get you.
Oh, yeah.
We were able to.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
We
yeah.
were able to quash all of those, but that's, there were 3, I believe it was 3 occasions where that happened, and there are a number of different ones out there. One of the most recent ones that I've run into, and it was personally, some passes. And that is the passes that allow you to drive Texas to Florida or some set of interstates. My parents received a text message that they owed them $150 and to send it to this particular address electronically. And, thankfully, my parents contacted me and we took care of it. But there's a lot of people out there working very hard not to work. And yes, I will, we'll take a look at that and see how much, some of
Yeah,
the
see
different
if- yeah.
scams that we can, whether it's personally or whether it's professionally.
Yeah, maybe.
That might be a pretty good education for our community.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well. Was there anything else?
No, ma'am.
Or questions for Chief?
I feel like I'm still a little torn after game days when there's really loud houses on Melrose. Like I know there's 2 down from me and I know Morgan Cohen has 2 young children next door and that rooftop patio I know is just so loud for him. I think he's
Oh, yeah.
probably shy where he wouldn't, call the police on something like that. I just didn't know, is there a time when you think it's appropriate to kind of shut some of that stuff down on Melrose? Or is it just totally complaint driven or something like that?
I think it has to be complaint driven, and simply because it depends upon the tolerance of the neighbors. If you are somewhat isolated on the end of a dead end street and people around you are receptive to it, if you're a little bit louder, a little bit later in the day, and you don't receive any complaints, I think that that's probably acceptable. Versus if, like that instance, 2 small children at 9 o'clock at night. Probably should be quiet, 8 o'clock at night.
I think it's been like 10 or, that night game got done and it was still super loud. I'm just thinking those guys have a baby and a little kid, but I'm just like, I don't know, but
That's one that I've always been taught that I can't be the one that's offended for you.
And I can't be the one to determine what's acceptable for you. And so without having input from the community, it's hard for me to balance. I can drive by and say, boy, that's awful loud. But if nobody complains, I don't have have ground to stand on.
Well, I mean, we have a noise ordinance that says noise shouldn't be what? Traveling over the,
Traveling over
Traveling.
property lines
Well, it's
is
complaint
generally how
driven
it's.
too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I would hate to think that we have to rely on people who already don't like to call the police. They don't like to call Jack, they like to text somebody. Or just suffer through. I mean, if there's something loud going on,
And
I don't think it should matter where you are or who, because then it's, well, we're picking on you, but we're not picking on you. Maybe you need to get better neighbors. I mean, does that make,
And it's just, yeah, it's surprising, the judgment, they don't use better judgment, I guess, to just not do that late. I thought there was also in the ordinances, like some time after which you don't do certain things. Like,
I believe it's 10 o'clock.
Generally for that.
yeah, when
for
it starts in the
construction,
morning and when it ends,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah,
There's,
isn't it like 8 o'clock?
if you
What
have
is it,
a construction.
Seven
yeah.
AM and.
Yeah, I know.
7 or 8 PM, I don't.
Maybe
recall
it's-
which it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to know when they were building this, cause, oh my goodness, heard a few things.
And that, that's a difficult one, like I said, the rules will get applied differently depending upon where you live, and I'm not sure.
That's the same with porta potties, that it just would be if no one complains and it's out in the front yard and stuff.
There's the discussion.
I would be in favor of, just for aesthetics on stuff like that too. I don't know. Because that's what I hear, I think maybe I mentioned, where I hear more about kind of what Lisa was alluding to. It's like, why did they get to do that and I can't, why? And so it's like, I can tell them, it's just, well, someone complained about you, or you're following the rules and they're not, but no one complained about them. Okay.
right, and some people don't know what they can and should and complain about, and some people don't feel comfortable complaining about some of their neighbors either.
Do we have any way of anonymously testing a complaint, like, again, city website, is there a
Not on the
anonymous
city,
reporting?
I
Or
don't believe we have the ability to do it on the city website, but we do through Johnson County Communication. Those reports can remain anonymous. And we respond to them all the same. Whether it's anonymous or whether we have a complaint, whether we have the difficult ones are if it were in this building, and we need, or the back building, the north building, we needed somebody to let us in. Because we don't have immediate access to that. Then an anonymous call kind of puts us in a difficult spot. I believe we have entry codes for all of the rest of the apartments, Grandview and this building. We have access to, the north building is the only one that we generally have to rely on somebody to let us in. And if it's on the overnight hours, we usually have a complaint that will let us in. Or we do have a garage door opener for that building. That building, we were at one point given permission to park underneath there here. They had a hailstorm predicted. And so we've got a garage door opener. We don't choose to use it very often. But we do have the ability to do things. Get in there if there is an emergency and.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Steph, did you want to add anything? Okay. Thank you, Chief. So we'll go on to finance, and Nick, you sent a report.
Oh, yeah, Tim and I had met with the Think Iowa City company, Jennifer Horn Fraser's company, about kind of developing vision stuff for the public spaces and Jennifer's had put together a survey monkey to get out to people, so plan to try to walk that around to people's doors so they take part and give some feedback. So we'll see what they say. I kind of trusting in the experts in terms of what they do with the information and next steps, but I'm trying to help any way I can.
That's great. Now, you were asking for volunteers to pass flyers. Did you see that, Pat? Because you're kind of
What was it?
pass flyers for the
Oh.
survey.
No.
Well,
It's on a fast
Pat's
too.
done it a lot and Stephanie's always done it. Are you gonna help with that?
I was gonna pass on. this
You were
one.
gonna pass.
If
Well, Mary
we don't have
Panther,
enough people,
I
I'll-
understand. Mary Panther does a lot of walking and she is very helpful. You know, she's on the zoning commission and so she'll accept a lot. You just give her, yeah, okay. So who else has helped?
No, that's fine. No pressure. I'll get it figured out, but
I know, I guess.
reach out to me if anybody does.
Okay, I know. Well, I could do my street. I could do my street.
Yeah.
Man, it's.
And,
I think just
okay,
as soon as
but it is
possible.
a,
It's,
a good
I
service.
mean, the
It's a
link,
good
I'll maybe write up a little something, but it's really just the link is in my report and the QR code is in my report,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and,
that's all I'm
and I
gonna.
went through it. I thought it was a good and you can look at it without ahead of time without typing anything, which I love, because that's the way it should be. So I know what so you want to think about it a little bit.
Yeah, she seems to be pretty sharp. Didn't she think?
Yeah. It looks
Good.
very good. And like you said, it can be done in less than 10 minutes, 8-9 minutes. And yeah, so I know, okay.
Thank you.
I think my neighbor might help with that. My neighbor is Jay, he's on the which board is he on? Board of Adjustment. Jay's, is he on
Zoning.
zoning? Oh, he's on zoning, isn't he? Sheila's on Board of Adjustment, okay. And he helps a lot. I bet I'll send you his. If he's around, I know he'd help. He's helped too.
Thank you.
And, yeah,
I would do my street.
well, Mike's helped.
Yeah, I told. Nick.
Mike's helped,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, now, let me see here.
any
Who's it?
small area.
We're gonna pull you out of the woodwork. Is that everything, Nick?
Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Tim, do you have anything with building, zoning, sanitation? Then, Lisa, you sent around an e-government report. Talked about snow.
We're not having any this year.
I'm like, oh my
Just
goodness.
ice and.
Okay. Any questions for Tim or for Lisa? And are there any announcements? Is there any objection to adjournment? What time is it? Oh, good time.
8:13.
Yeah. Any objection? Hearing none, the meeting's adjourned by unanimous consent. Thanks, everyone. And the next meeting is December 10th.